All right, we are live, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Lake County. I'm your host, David Rich. We have a very special guest on tonight, Dr. Bryan Maxwell. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good evening. Great to be here.
Good, good. Glad to have you on.
For hosting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. So Dr. Bryan Maxwell is a research scientist that works at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, which we were discussing that I've known people there and have, spent a couple weekends there. It was fun. Very cool university. And it's, we talked about how its big thing is agriculture and you're involved in that, right?
Yeah, it's really the land grant institute of the state. So, I don't know how much you know about land grant institutions, but
I know nothing about it.
Back in I guess it was like the late 1800s, I think they founded like the whole land grant institute like program to put like universities in each state that focused on like agriculture and engineering to really train people in the state and that make sure people are trained in like hard sciences, agriculture, engineering. U of I is the one here. In North Carolina, I went to North Carolina State University. That's where I did my schooling. And North Carolina State is like the land grant institution down there. Another big ag school.
Is that the one? There's a North Carolina school that's really prestigious with its philosophy department. Is that one?
That's probably
University.
That's either Carolina, UNC, Chapel Hill, or
it's Chapel Hill. It's Chapel Hill. Okay, yeah. All right, cool. Well, I want to ask you some questions, specifically about your expertise here. Sure. But first, I want to go through the reason why you're on the show in the first place, and that's to talk about your campaign. And you are running for federal level U.S. Senate, right?
Yeah, correct.
To replace Dick Durbin.
To retire next year.
Next year, and that's no small bag of potatoes there.
No small bag of potato chips. Yeah, Illinois is get around. Been driving around the state quite a bit. My car just hit 200,000 miles a couple weeks ago, so I'm hoping that it lasts for the rest of the campaign.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's ambitious, that's for sure. And you've been in connection with some members of the Green Party. You talked about Chibu helping her get on the ballot last year. Yeah, she's at U of I. That's right. So that explains how that happened. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was last year. We were pretty upset at our incumbent in town, Nikki Bazinski. She's our rep in District 13, and we're pretty upset with her about her support for sending weapons to Israel's genocide. And and Chibu just stepped up right away, decided to jump on the Green Party, and I had tabled a bunch with her and helping collect signatures and stuff.
That's great.
But as the Democratic Party is not very democratic, and the signature requirement for third-party candidates at the congressional level is insane. At every level, it's insane.
At every level. I mean, there's no exception to that. Yeah, it's audacious. It really is. And I've talked about it 1,000. When I hosted the Illinois Green Party series for a long time, talked about it on there 100 times. I've talked about it on here a bunch of times. I just had a panel of locally elected Democrats on, and I brought it up there, and they all acknowledge, at least with their words, that it's not right and it's not fair, but there's nothing they can really do about it. You have to bring it to the General Assembly to vote on it, and of course they're not gonna get rid of their own power.
Yeah, and it needs to be repaired. It's ridiculous. So in our district, the requirement is like 950 signatures or something like that. For third party, it's over 12,000.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's insane.
There's some area or some offices that you would run for. I'm guessing it has more to do with the General Assembly or the federal level, where a duopoly candidate would need say 1,000, 1,200 maybe, and a third party or independent candidate would need 25,000. And you have to get twice that much because they'll stick their lawyer dogs on it to oh, I don't see an I over that or a dot over that I, cross the name out. It's just so blatantly gross.
It really is. Yeah. And Illinois is one of the worst states in the country about it as far as ballot access requirements. I mean, the signature requirements is insane. I talked to some of these other candidates running in other states, and I'm so jealous that they just had to file a fee and then they're on the ballot. It's
how many do you need?
I got them. The requirement was 5,000 for the two party. For third parties is 25,000, which is impossible. I mean, come on. And so it was 5,000, but like you said, I tried to get as close to 10,000 as possible because, as they do, they'll come in and try and challenge. If you don't at least get 7,000 or 8,000, they'll challenge you, and that happened to a few candidates. So
yeah. So I mean, there's always the option of a write-in, but that's a scam too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 100%.
You can't convince let's say you got 10,000 signatures, but still not enough. Like you can't convince all of them to well, if I don't get on the ballot properly, please remember my name and write it in. They're not going to, maybe some will, but
not happening. Yeah.
So, well, all right.
Of the many parts of our democracy, it needs reforming. There's a lot of things that are pretty undemocratic about.
Well, ranked choice voting goes hand in hand with ballot access. It's not exactly the same thing, but it ties into it.
100%.
And that's probably, and they won't do that either because if they start getting, candidates outside of the duopoly, they're going to lose a lot of offices, a lot of seats. They know they are.
Yes.
The last time I checked the national poll is that it's like about 60% of people are tired of the two-party system. They're tired of it.
Yeah.
But they don't see an alternative because there really isn't an accessible one.
Yeah. And that was why I decided to run in this moment. I mean, to at least give a voice and be representative of, what I think are hundreds of thousands of people in the state who are just totally sick of the Democratic Party and they're elected, the options that are being put in front of them, especially the options at the top of this ticket, are tired of that. I became, I was a lifelong Democrat until, 2023. I was, in 2020, I door knocked, canvassed, text banged for Biden, because I felt he ran on a pretty progressive platform. Not that he ended up delivering on most of those things. Quickly abandoned many of them, but what I thought was a progressive platform at the time, and was volunteering and all that, supported the party for a long time, but in 2023, seeing the way that 2023 and then going into 2024, the way that the administration just absolutely did not listen to any of their voters with respect to sending weapons to Israel, and the way that the administration just gaslit their voters and, just totally ignored the fact that there were just millions of people marching in the streets.
Oh man.
Students literally setting up encampments across the, when's the last time you've seen that?
Never, not that.
Students setting up encampments across the country on a single issue. When's the last time you've seen that? And, the Democratic Party rely so much on young voters. They've always relied on, young voters for the last 20, 30 years. And to see them just totally just turn their backs, kind of spit in the faces of all those supporters, people that supported them, I thought it was very eye-opening. It was very disillusioning. So
yeah, no, for sure. So let's talk about some of your policies, your platform positions. You mentioned 3 to me. Go ahead.
For sure. Yeah. So my 3 main ones are anti-war, Medicare for all, tax the rich. I'll kind of go through each of those one by one, but to start off on like a high level of it, one of the reasons I take those 3 is I feel like it those 3 policies speak the most to just how captured our democracy is by money and politics. Essentially, the defense lobby is incredibly powerful in DC, spends a ton of money influencing elections. The private healthcare industry is incredibly powerful and influential, and as far as moving people in Congress on their votes. And of course, billionaires and corporations that donate a ton of money to politics are incredibly influential. So, as far as reducing military spending and putting that money into like domestic programs, that's popular with over 80% of Democratic voters, over 60% of independents. It's widely popular. Medicare for all is widely popular. Increasing taxes on the rich and corporations, or at least making them pay their fair share, is incredibly popular. But on all 3 of those issues, the establishment of the party at least, is totally against them. You have small voices, or small groups in Congress in the Democratic Party at least, who are willing to advocate for those positions to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
But they're largely not pushed by the establishment of the party because of money in politics.
Right.
So, anti-war, diverting, Americans are tired of seeing their tax dollars spent on these endless, incredibly violent, incredibly destructive, inhumane wars overseas. When we see so many people struggling here at home, can't afford healthcare, can't afford housing, can't afford, medical debt, student loan debt, with all these ways that people are struggling here at home, can't afford daily life, to see our tax dollars, and not just like some of our tax dollars, hundreds of billions of our tax dollars be used in these endless policies. I think people are really tired of that and seeing that, not just to the immoral extent of seeing like the moral outrage of seeing people, violently displaced, killed in these endless wars, but the fact that we're also not using those tax dollars here at home to actually help people out. It's like a double moral outrage, and people are tired of that. So, I'm reducing military spending, bringing those tax dollars back home, to spend it on things that people actually need: housing, healthcare, education, these community programs that we really need.
Yeah, no, and I think that's becoming more and more popularized as a legitimate want of the American people, is to stop going to war and stop giving foreign nations $8 bajillions to slaughter other people. We don't want that. Take that money, use it. So vastly popular nowadays. Do you know who else said like very similar things to what you just said?
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know what's going on there. I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. I'm hoping she had a change of heart and she's not doing this to like start a podcast or become, I don't know. But we'll see what happens. She said almost exactly the same thing about keep the money here, stop sending it over there. She talked a lot about affordability and school loans and insurance and healthcare, and we need to be spending that money here. And it's a very interesting little twist. And so,
I mean, she did it. Yeah. Advocated for it. It was funny watching Medea Benjamin the other day, the head of Code Pink, put out a video saying, asking people to convince Marjorie Taylor Greene to stay in office because she was one of the few anti-war voices in Congress, and we need as much as we could get. But exactly, it's a growing bipartisan. Mm-hmm. It's a bipartisan sentiment for different reasons on different sides of the aisle, but it means the same thing. Republicans are tired of seeing their federal tax dollars taken out of their paychecks, taken out of their communities to fund wars overseas. Democrats are tired. Independents are tired. Now we're in a war with Venezuela for
who knows why.
Dishonest purposes again. Not that the administration is giving. So I'm not just opposed to the direct military engagement. But one of the other things I would like to see, and I try to communicate to people in this campaign, is an end to sanctions. That sanctions are an incredibly violent and impactful foreign policy. Politicians and the media kind of portray sanctions as a relatively mild form of like punishing a country, but it's a full blockade on a country. Mm-hmm. And the Lancet just put out a study earlier this year, saying that the estimated impact of U.S. sanctions over the last 50 years was about 500,000 premature deaths every year.
Ooh. I hadn't heard that, but that makes intuitive sense to me.
Yeah, it's led to starvation deaths. It's led to like lack of medical supplies.
Right.
People.
Yeah, because they're almost always economic sanctions. So you're taking it out on the government's citizenry, not the government directly. I mean, there might be like when it comes to oil and stuff like that, it might be affecting the military and stuff like that. But if they're usually economic sanctions, okay, we're not going to send you anymore, or we're going to put like this huge like blockade on like the whole grains you're going to get into your country. Well, that's not cool. People need whole grains, stuff like that. You need bread and rice and flour and.
All of them. I mean, Cuba's been under some of the worst sanctions for decades.
Oh yeah.
For no good reason. Biden had every opportunity to lift the sanctions on Cuba. What Obama did when he was in office.
Yeah, but I thought he opened up trade again. Was it only partially?
Did Obama?
Yeah.
It might have been. Yeah, you could be right. Yeah.
I don't recall. He did something.
I don't recall. It might have only been a partial lift, but
okay.
Venezuela's been under, crushing sanctions for decades. Syria was, Iran, just so many countries and we attribute their failing economy to their government leadership. And maybe that plays some role in it, but also like crushing sanctions, when the global financial system is backed by the US dollar, you're just totally cutting off people.
No.
So it was especially impactful in Iran during COVID, when people in that country couldn't get basic medical supplies. They couldn't get ventilators. They couldn't get masks, a lot of medical supplies. And it's very inhumane, very impactful, and it's a huge driver. U.S. foreign policy is a huge driver of mass migration.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
It's a huge driver of mass migration from Central and South America. It's a huge, the whole global war on terror was, estimated that whole campaign over 20 years displaced some, close to 40 million people is what the estimates were. So it's just, I'm trying to help people understand the impact of foreign policy, that foreign policy isn't just something that happens out there. There are real impacts to what goes on here in the U.S. and the other countries.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a mess for sure. Okay. Healthcare.
I mean, I get asked all the time how we afford it. And that's the devil's in the details, I'm sure. But what I ask people is, like, do you really think that, 70 other countries around the world have figured out how to give their citizens universal affordable healthcare? Do you think that we can't figure it out or afford it? We're one of the richest countries in the world. Do you think we can't afford it? If you think the answer is no, then we just have to figure out how to do it. And we're not reinventing the wheel. We're not doing anything new. There's plenty of examples out there to figure out. I'm in favor of the Sanders proposal for Medicare for all, how that's structured. But, it's beyond time. We've seen, the Affordable Care Act was an experiment.
A failed one.
It tried to.
It was all it was is an insurance mandate.
It was an insurance mandate. The insurance mandate was subsidies.
Right. What's up, sure.
And, it helped out for the richest people in this country, healthcare is not an issue. For the lowest income earners in this country who get the most in subsidies, it's not an issue. But for the most of the middle class, it's just not. So we've seen how attempting to marry the private sector with the government sector works in healthcare, and it just doesn't work out. And one of the reasons I try to explain to people too is that the market isn't the same. Like, market forces aren't the same in the healthcare industry. Like, if I'm trying to sell you sponges and I try and charge you $100 for a sponge, you're just not going to buy it. But in the healthcare industry, like, if it costs $10,000 for a life-saving surgery to get a tumor removed or something, you're going to pay whatever you need to save your life, to get access to healthcare, and as long as people need to pay whatever the market insurance companies are willing to charge, it's just, not the same. There's no need for the market to provide affordable prices for healthcare, because the limit of paying is whatever hospitals decide to charge.
Well, it's right. It's not like by definition a monopoly, but there's not a lot of room outside to go within that healthcare system.
Oh, true.
With cheaper prices and that kind of thing.
Absolutely true.
I know Biden proposed what was the public option, which is like, if you want government healthcare, you can have it, just take it. And if you want to keep your insurance, then you can do that too. And that was, a lot of people like that, but he never did anything with it. He never did, like 4 years.
Yeah.
It's like that in the Epstein file. But they didn't do anything. There's a lot. And I think what a lot of people don't realize, what would you say, 70 countries out there, is that there are a multitude of different types of ways of going about getting universal health care to the entire citizenry of your country. For example, and Canada ranks by the WHO #1 almost every single year for like 15 plus years. I don't think it's every single year, but it's damn close.
Yeah.
The best and what they do is because they just kind of got rid of the insurance companies and said, okay, fine, we'll just put it in your taxes. You pay the government. When a doctor wants to bill somebody, they bill us. We send them the money, and everything's fine. It's super simple. It's super easy. It's very efficient. And this complaining about like, oh yeah, but if you have something wrong, you have to wait forever. First of all, that is a problem in every healthcare system. By the way, I'm 55, so I think it was 2 years ago. I went to go make an appointment for that lovely man test that everybody goes through after 50, a colonoscopy, and I had to wait over a year in America.
Yeah.
So don't give me that crap. Like that's okay.
Yeah. And you're going to wait forever if you can't afford it, which most people.
Yeah. And if you can't afford it, you don't get it at all. Or, unless you find some charitable organization or something like that. But it's just, our system is so overly complex and unsustainable. That's long-term unsustainable. It's going to break. It can't sustain itself. So. Yeah,
that's interesting. I didn't know Canada was ranked #1. I mean, that makes sense because I always read comments online of Canadians just like, it's like pity. It's like a mixture of pitying us and laughing at us that like our healthcare system's so bad. And
just so the Israel, the country we send billions of dollars to, they have socialized healthcare and education. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so I don't want to hear it.
Many countries around the world can afford it.
Well, I think the big thing, this is just a guess. I haven't done any research. I don't have numbers. My guess is they won't get rid of it on the federal level the way it is now in America because of the insurance industry. Like you're talking about tens of millions of employees and, hundreds of billions of dollars, and all of a sudden you just wipe that away, could be economically troublesome.
Yeah.
I don't know, but there's no reason not to like kind of, give it some sort of sunset time, like, okay, like in 10 years, you need to be, all right, we're done, or whatever, make the adjustment. I don't know.
Exactly. Every year you enroll whatever, 30 million new people in the system. Right. And just do it chunk by chunk. And the government's going to need people to staff that. Who's going to make the payments? Who's going to take calls from people, the direct payments, answer questions? Those people can be rehired in the system.
Right, exactly. There you go.
The difference is you don't have, tens of millions of dollars going to CEOs of these companies, and you don't have a profit incentive out there to deny you care.
Right.
And there was another one I was thinking there, but yeah. So
yeah, no, it's a mess. It is nasty. No, I mean, like I have, for example, type 2 diabetes, and my doctors over the years have said, okay, I'm going to put you on this medicine or something like that. And like insurance says no. And I'm like, well, that's crazy. I'm like, you're the doctor. I don't understand why they have that authority. I don't get it.
And a ton of doctors Medicare for all, because they don't want to see their patients get denied the care that they need because they can't afford it. Especially with things
they take the Hippocratic oath. Maybe we should make insurance companies take the Hippocratic oath.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, well, situations like that, diabetes, any kind of pre-existing condition, stuff like that. I mean, insurance can't deny you coverage, but they can charge you a ton. And it's just, you can't get around that as a person. You can't get around expensive healthcare, and the fact that so I lived in Spain for a year before I moved here. I worked at a university. What's that?
That's cool.
Yeah. Worked at a university over there, and I was just on a temporary work permit, and I got a pretty cheap insurance plan to cover me while I was over there. And every time I went in a hospital over there, no bill. Mm-hmm. I got a bill once when I had to go get a cholesterol medication. That was like $5 for a month's worth of cholesterol medication. And this was just a temporary work visiting health insurance plan. But that's what it's like over there. I mean, it's incredibly cheap, and it's just not something you even worry about. when you go to the hospital. So
yeah, no, and like just from like a practical economic vantage point, like it's not good for a nation
no,
if you need people to be in the labor force to not be able to afford health care, because if they get sick and can't get better, they don't go to work. If they get injured and don't get better, they don't go to work. Like if you want to be that shallow and ridiculous about it, not just treat them as human beings, then fine. Here's this other side of it too.
right.
Like it just doesn't make any sort of like again practical economic labor sense. It just doesn't.
No.
Right.
No. It's good for like making small businesses and entrepreneurs, because people feel more financial freedom to go start a small business if they know they have healthcare. They don't have to worry about that. They are generally more.
And on that point too, like it's just the burden of healthcare costs should not be put on small businesses. Like, do you offer benefits? No, I can't afford to. Okay, well, I'm going to go work somewhere else. Okay, well,
Exactly.
that sucks. I mean, it's that even corporations, they should not have. I mean, it's not up to the economic sector, the employment sector of our economy to take the burden of healthcare costs. It's not how it should be. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because then prices go up too. For that reason, like if a company has to charge, I got to pay, $2,000 a month for my employees' healthcare. I'm going to put that on the customers. Of course you are. What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
I want universal health care too. Again, I think there are a multitude of different ways of going about it.
Yeah.
And maybe we can have you back on and talk about, go through like a different variety of them. Like I think it's Norway, like their process is, you can have a privately owned hospital or clinic, but it has to be nonprofit. Like that's how they do it. I think it's Norway.
Okay.
That keeps costs down and there's no burden or anything like that. So like there isn't just one way of doing it. There's a lot of different ways.
A ton. Yeah.
But other than the way we do it, which is just obnoxious. So okay, cool. What was the last one? Oh, tax the rich. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Go ahead.
Tax the rich. Yeah.
The song "Eat the Rich" by Motorhead?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I'm going around talking to people, because whenever I pick these 3 platform points too, because one of those 3 resonates strongly with somebody, whoever I'm talking to. One of those 3 usually resonates strongly with at least one. And tax the rich is also very popular among Democrats and independents. People are tired of seeing this insane wealth inequality in this country. 10 people having as much wealth as the entire middle class is insane. You do the numbers, it feels even more insane that like that's such a hard number to think about, but it's even more insane when you do the numbers. Like last year, Elon Musk on average made over $20 million per hour every hour.
Oh, yeah.
And
per hour.
That scale just makes it seem so much more absurd, and realize how broken things are. So, and there's a reason.
Go ahead, sorry.
There's a reason why it needs to be. We need people running on this at the federal level, because we can't have people running in states trying to do that in cities or states. Like Zoran Mamdani is trying to do that as the mayor in New York. Mayor Johnson is trying to do that here now with the Chicago budget, because then you just have, all the wealthy, all the corporations crying foul and say, oh, we're just kind of scaring everybody and say, oh, we're just going to move all our business to Florida, or we're just going to take everything out to South Dakota, wherever.
Right.
And you just have them threatening to move their businesses elsewhere. It needs to be passed at the federal level, so you don't have this, oh, we're just going to move our businesses elsewhere. You don't have people opposing it out of fear that all of a sudden they're going to see this economic opportunity lost in their state. You got to be passed at the federal level. But to be clear, like my other conflict with that is I want to see that done in tandem with cutting the military budget. I don't want to see hundreds of billions of dollars more going to the government just to, bomb more countries overseas. Like if it can't just, go directly into that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, don't quote me on this because I'm not sure it's an accurate memory, but it was something like if you took away like 5% of the military's budget, you could pay everybody's health care. Something
Yeah.
like that. Like it was, so it might maybe it was 10%, but it was a very small amount.
Yeah.
And the military opponent wouldn't even notice it was gone, because they can't, because they've been failed audits for the last 6 years or something, so they don't even know where their money is. But yeah, no, it's crazy. And I want to put this is a thing that's out, and I checked the math, just to put in perspective the difference between 1 million, 1 billion, and 1 trillion. 1 million seconds is a little over 11 days. 1 billion seconds is a little over 32 years. 1 trillion seconds is a little over 32,000 years. That's the disparity between those numbers. I want you to now just put those in dollars.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
tell me that's okay. So anyway,
it's hard.
I mean, it's mind-boggling. It's just like, what? $1 trillion is, you spend $1 a day, you wouldn't exhaust it for over 32,000 years. That's nuts. That's just crazy.
It's hard to understand it at the scale of $1 trillion. It's hard to scale that, but yeah, that is how much wealth is in the Pentagon budget. Over either nearly or over 50% of our federal income tax, what you pay in a federal income tax, just goes towards that, because that's what our discretionary spending is going towards. And it's, Democrats are kind of taking advantage of this affordability moment. I feel like seeing that affordability is popular, affordability is an issue, and they're talking about they want to do that, but there's most programs to do that. If you're going to either make housing affordable, healthcare affordable, or education or childcare, whatever those expenses are going to require big expenses. And there's only two pots of wealth in the country. Unless you're going to do something incremental, which doesn't really help, there's only two pots of wealth that big in the country. It's our $1 trillion Pentagon budget, or the collective wealth held by 10 people in this country.
Yeah, okay, what I don't understand too, just from a moral perspective, is I don't understand why, especially billionaires, but 100 millionaires or 10 millionaires, why they're not just sort of morally willing to do that. Again, it goes because you're making your millions and billions of dollars off of people that are working for you, or somehow whatever, investing the money for you. It's labor that you're making that money off of. So why would you not want to help the labor force out? Why would you not want to, if you will, throw them a bone, give them healthcare and give them education? You can afford to do it, and it would benefit you as well. If you just need to be self-centered about it, why would you not want to do that?
Yeah, I think
again, you wouldn't miss the money.
I feel like anyone that has over $1 billion who's not making those kinds of decisions is a sociopath. I mean,
that's exactly what a sociopath is.
I don't know.
A sociopath is somebody who's indifferent to somebody else's rights and suffering. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. All right, so I want to ask you one, because I don't want to keep you too long because it's dinner time. But what do you think about the current? Because I feel like this issue has died down a bit, quite a bit actually. But somebody said something to me the other day, and it kind of re-triggered it in my head. Do you have any stances on policing?
Yeah, I would like to see us, in the same way that we don't favor diplomacy over military violence. I would like to see us favor, prevention programs to crime versus, emphasis on crime. I'm part of a, community group here in town that for years now has been advocating for, an alternative response model. In town, and just more of our local budget going to things like, community programming, things other than the police budget, which goes up every year. It's kind of like our military budget. Our police budget goes up every year by way more than any other program.
Right.
And it's an overemphasis on policing, and I don't think it benefits anyone. So just, direct payments to Americans to be able to afford the basic necessities to keep people off the streets, youth programming, community enhancement grants, especially, getting money to people when they get out of jail. You know, I just ran it. I was just helping someone out the other day who had gotten out of jail after 20 years, and they gave him $50, piece of paper, and now he's struggling to get on his feet in Chicago.
Yeah, and that's why the reoccurrence rate is so high. Like, what are they supposed to do?
What are they supposed to do? I agree. That's died down. Like, Democrats totally took advantage of the 2020 protests, did nothing with that, just used it, did nothing with it. They kind of did it similar with, you know, how they basically stole one of the Green Party's best ideas of the Green New Deal.
That was the day, but yeah, I had the way everybody that came from the Green Party. Okay, AOC stole it. Go ahead.
100%. That was a Green Party idea. The Democrats co-opted it, watered it down, and then have forgotten it.
Yep.
Do you hear any leading Democrat even saying the words climate change anymore?
No, but no, I don't. But it might be in part because they're so busy fighting off Trump.
That could be.
I understand. You know, I don't hear him say
it. Could be true, but I didn't hear Kamala didn't talk about that at all in the lead up to that election. You know, Joe Biden.
Could you speak legitimately about the details and nuances of climate change? If you can, I would love to have you back on to talk about it.
Sure. Yeah, that's just something I work a lot in.
Okay.
I'm an agriculture and environmental engineer by training, but a lot of what I do is science as well, just like research science and around issues related to climate change, emissions, and stuff like that. I, you know, help pilot and test renewable technologies here at the university.
Oh, great.
But, you know, I'm not, you know, one thing I read the other day, like, I'm not just in favor of the Green New Deal. I read the other day about a policy that was a Green New Deal Plus, which is essentially recognizing the fact that our military is the largest institutional source of greenhouse gas emissions on the planet.
What is?
What's that?
Say that again. I'm sorry. Alexandria just posted something. I was trying to read it. Go ahead.
The military is the largest institution.
Oh, yes, 100%. No. I've said that on the Green Party show many times.
Is whole countries. And any politician who's talking about being serious about climate change, or any organization, you know, the Sierra Club, the Sunrise Movement, any organizations that's talking about it and not talking about changing foreign policy isn't being serious about taking on climate change. You can't as a country have the largest institutional source of emissions on the planet.
Right.
And also provoking other countries. We provoke other countries around the world into increasing their defense spending. Yeah. So you know, it's estimated we gotta commit like $4.5 trillion a year to clean energy and decarbonizing in order to avoid it, and we're not doing that at all. So, like, we just foreign policy, defense spending is like a very key component of climate change that has to be addressed, or it's really kind of not taking it seriously.
Yeah, no, for sure. Alexandria Sofiakis, who's the one you were in contact with.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. She said this has been an interesting discussion, and to be fair, the Republicans had voted for animal rights bills in better numbers than Democrats in Congress.
Interesting.
I mean, okay, you know. I know Nancy Mace, as revolting as she is in other ways, has actually pushed in a lot of animal rights stuff. Like, I guess she's a huge fan. I don't know what's wrong. Christy Nome shot her dog, so I don't count her toward that.
You'd be surprised what comes out in bipartisan things. I mean, it was a bipartisan bill that got put forward the other day about banning stock trading in Congress.
Yeah, no, that's great, for sure.
That was put forward by an independent, and it's people on both sides of the aisle. And I don't know if you watched any of those hearings, but the people speaking against it were like, do you expect me to be poor? Do you expect me to not make money?
You get a decent salary as a congressperson or senator.
But it's so it's so corrupt.
Yeah, I know. And then there's the option too of like, fine, but like whatever like advantages they have and insights into the market, you have to make those public.
For sure.
We can have the same, again, there's more than one way to kind of skin a cat here. I've just lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? I forgot.
I'm totally happy anytime. Yeah, if you want to have another conversation about.
I would love to talk to you about climate change, pollution in general, and agriculture. I'm actually certified horticulturalist. It's merely a certification,
cool.
but gardening is my main profession.
Cool.
I would love to talk to you about that kind of stuff and just the agricultural industry and how horrifying that is. In so many different ways, because you would seem to be the guy I should talk to.
Well, that's what I want to do, and I'm kind of putting together a proposal agenda here soon to send out to a lot of these ag groups. Some of them I've worked with through some of that extension work I did at the U of I. But I would like to sit on the setting committee for agriculture.
That'd be great. I love it.
We need these reforms to our agricultural policy that would help, not just make it more environmentally sustainable, which we can make huge improvements on, but more economically sustainable. It's not sustainable to have industries that are just, barely making it through every year, and in a lot of cases are relying on subsidies to get by year to year, and you have people at the top of the chain suddenly throwing a wrench into everyone's gears of implementing.
And you got this new thing where because of Trump's tariffs, the farm industry is hurting badly, and he's talking about a $12 billion bailout. And I saw a thing, a post the other day by a farmer. He's like, we don't need a bailout. We need a market. How about stop sending $40 billion or whatever it was to Argentina, our competition? Yeah. Don't do that. Okay.
Yeah. Trump does not care about farmers. I guarantee you it didn't cross his head once. He didn't talk to a single farming group before he decided to send $40 billion to one of the largest soybean producers in the world.
Right. That's crazy. So anyway, okay, cool. Yeah, let's definitely keep that in mind and keep in touch. I would love to have you back
cool.
And I'll even set a time, like maybe a full hour, and we can talk, because there's a lot I would like to talk to you about non-political. Well, I would tie you to
just keep it to environmental and agriculture.
Excuse me. Yeah,
that's my biggest area of expertise.
That's your wheelhouse, as they say. Yeah,
in my whole life. But when I talk about climate change, and how long I worked in it, and how long I realized that if we don't change our federal spending priorities, very little of what I was doing felt like it mattered.
Well, sure, yeah, no, 100%.
on the research level. So it's
no. And real quick, I want to ask you something, because I either heard this from ISU or U of I. U of I would make more sense. And so now that I have you here, you can confirm or deny this, hopefully. I heard that Illinois, called the Prairie State, used to be about 65-ish% prairies, and now it's like 0.9% or something. Is that accurate?
It could be. I would believe that. Yeah, I mean, a massive amount of land is devoted to farmland, and
that's a huge difference.
It's a huge difference. Yeah, it's why I appreciate that countries across South America are preserving their forests, but it does feel like hypocritical when we tell these countries overseas to preserve their forests, and we've just absolutely decimated our natural landscapes here in the U.S. Prairie, forests. I mean, it's been absolutely decimated by industry, farming, development. So
yeah, it's gross. It is gross. So all right, Dr. Bryan Maxwell, thank you, sir, who is running for the Illinois federal level congressional seat or senator seat for Illinois. Thanks for coming on the show and talking with us and telling us what your platform positions are.
Yeah.
And I don't, it's, again, for a third party or an independent candidate, it's tough stuff, man. So good luck.
For sure. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, let's stay in touch. All right.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks for everybody for tuning in to Let's Talk Lake County. I'm your host, David Rich. Till next time, keep talking.